Why it won't be the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC West this season. The 2025 Locked On NFL season previews continue with the NFC West right now.
This is the 2025 Locked On NFL season preview, only on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Buddy, back again. I'm excited for a new season. The 2025 Locked On NFL season previews are here. This episode, we're focused on the NFC West. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. I'm Brian Peacock, host of Locked On 49ers. I'll be your host for this divisional preview. Joining me are my colleagues from the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm sure most of these names are familiar to our listeners, our everydayers out there that hang out and watch our crossovers every season. And if you are new, then you are going to have a lot of fun today because we like ribbing each other just a little bit here in the NFC West. And we've got none other than Alex Clancy, the host of Locked On Cardinals, Travis Rogers of Locked On Rams, and of course, Corbin Smith of Locked On Seahawks today. And fellas, we are starting at the end. We are talking today about the winners first. We're going to look at contenders. We're going to see which teams present the biggest challenge in the division, most improved squads, and the best players across these four teams. We've got the votes are in from our top 100 this summer, and we're going to give our division finish predictions. But let's start in the end. The favorites in 2025, and it is not the Los Angeles Rams. It is actually the cellar dwellers from the division last year. The 6-10 San Francisco 49ers, they are the favorites to win the division this year. And I know you guys are all ready and have your reasons why you think they will not be the division winners. So Alex, go ahead. Let's hear it. Why are the 49ers not going to win? I said in the open, it's not going to be the Los Angeles Rams. That only leaves two teams. Talk to me about the 49ers. Why should they not be the favorites this year?
I mean, if they had an NFL schedule and not an NAIA schedule, they wouldn't be. Like, you take the worst teams in the NFL, all of them are on the 49ers schedule. Plus, you got to pepper in, like, there's some teams like the Packers and the 49ers that always get this national hoist for no real reason. We don't really understand it. Like, they made a Super Bowl a few years ago and Joe Montana and stuff, but like forever, the 49ers have just been the darling of these lists of odds and things like that. Now, with that said, the Arizona Cardinals have leveled up. Okay, I'm not winding up to say they're going to win the division, but they've leveled up pretty astronomically from where they were last year. The Rams have gotten better, and the Seahawks, we'll see, but they've still got a vaunted lineup. They're like the Steelers of the NFC. They win 10 games. You don't know how, you don't know why. It just always happens. So this is a very tough division, but to say that I don't think they're going to win 100% the 49ers, I wouldn't say that either. I think it's going to be pretty incestuous division, and one team's going to win.
Bold. That leads to you. What do you think about the 49ers? What do you think about those Los Angeles Rams as repeats as well?
Well, I'll defer to you. Peacock is the expert on the 49ers. Did they lose 33 or 34 good offensive players this offseason? It was a little tough to keep track with how many players were headed out the door. But yeah, look, I think that the Rams will win the division because they almost always win the division, because they have Sean McVay, because like Clancy said, I think they got a little bit better. I think most importantly, relative to the 49ers, is it feels like they cracked that 49er code that they were struggling with for so long. They just really could not find a way to beat Kyle Shanahan, to beat the 49ers. It was Sean McVay's kryptonite. It was the one thing that he couldn't quite figure out. They finally got it done last year. McVay, when he figures something out, he tends to keep it figured out. They increased they improved their wide receiver room two ways. One, sorry, Corbin, this is coming. I think Cooper Kupp is completely and totally washed. And I think Devontae Adams is an incredible upgrade. Puka Nacua is healthy for the first time in a while. So a lot of things have gone the Rams' way. Of course, the big problem is Matthew Stafford. The big problem is whether or not he's actually healthy, whether or not a guy this deep into his career can make it through a 17-game schedule. Those are the reasons. Not the reasons for, I think, are pretty obvious.
Corbin Smith, we haven't heard from Locked On Seahawks host Corbin Smith yet, and clearly the 49ers and the Seahawks have had some nice rivalries recently. Could we see that again at the top of the NFC West?
I don't think the 49ers are going to be in the top 3. I think they finished last in the division. And I'll give you a couple reasons why. Who are they going to throw the ball to at the start of the season? I like Juwan Jennings, but like Brandon Ayuk, probably not back till week 6 or possibly later than that. They got rid of Deebo Samuel. I don't want Christian McCaffrey to stay healthy. And, oh, by the way, I feel like this is a mash unit already in the running back room for them. They lost a lot of key guys on defense. I just don't think that they have retooled enough to be able to compete. We're going for them at next step in terms of getting their roster rebuilt. I think the 49ers, it's going to take a couple years for them to retool some of these spots that they've lost so many players on. And I think this division boils down to the Rams and the Seahawks. And I think Matthew Stafford's health, that might be the ultimate X factor here, because if he's healthy, I think the Rams are the better team of the two. I think it's going to be a very close race down at the end, but I think that the Rams have the more complete roster, at least right now. But I will also say this, from Seattle's perspective, that was a top 5 scoring defense the last 9 weeks of the season, and everybody's back. And they added DeMarcus Lawrence. They added Nick Emanwari to that group. They've got continuity. They've got a defensive mastermind in Mike McDonald as the head coach. They've got a much improved offense they actually have an NFL caliber coordinator that's actually calling plays, which has been incredible to watch, even in preseason games. I just think the key to them is if they can run the football the way it looks like they're going to be able to, and they can keep their running backs healthy, take some of that pressure off Sam Darnold, they're going to be in games because of their defense. And I think that this defense can be a top 3 unit that can carry this team. So it really boils down to, can they run the football? And again, are they going to be able to play that complementary style with the defense they have? And if they can, they're very much going to be in the mix to win this division, even if Matthew Stafford's healthy. I just think those are the 2 most complete teams in this division right now.
Alex, Travis, I heard a lot of ifs there about that Seattle Seahawks team. I don't know.
I mean, that's all the 49ers are. Is ifs.
Hey, Corbin, you went on I love your diatribes about your team, okay? You didn't mention the quarterback at all. So Seattle, the most important position in the NFL is quarterback. They gave him pretty much a 1-year prove-it deal because they don't trust that he's the dude for the future. So if the guys can run the ball and stay healthy, which they never can, when Kenneth Walker's fantastic when he's on the field, he rarely is, it seems. He misses chunks of games. Zach Charbonnet's obviously leveled up, so you've got a dude like that, but I don't understand. Like, here's the thing. I know the Cardinals have been the stepchild of the NFC West for some time now, except for the beginning of the 2021 season. They've gotten better, multiple times over compared to the other teams in the NFC West from where they were last year.
Because they had so much room to improve.
Bro, that's true. But they won 8 games last year. Okay, not 6. The Rams, I think the Rams won 1-score games last year. Just Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are wizard-like when it comes to that. But if you told me the Cardinals won the division in 2025, that's not a shocking outcome anymore. I would be shocked if Seattle won the division, personally. I wouldn't be shocked because of what we've seen from the Rams and the 49ers because we've seen it more recently. Like, I think Sam Darnold is a massive downgrade from Geno Smith.
I'm just excited that the Rams get to play Sam Darnold twice again. He basically saved their season last year. That when they came in on that Thursday night game, the Vikings were flying high. We were trying to figure out if the Sam Darnold thing was a Jets thing, a Panthers thing, or whether he was actually finally found the right place where he could thrive with Justin Jefferson and Addison and those guys. And the Rams just tore him to pieces. And you could kind of throw it up to the Rams were kind of playing for their season at that point. They really needed that game. Okay, fine. Fast forward to the playoff game, and they did it a second time. They really had their way with him. So he is like I agree with Clancy in the sense that it's the most important position on the field. And Geno Smith scared me a lot more than Sam Darnold does.
And, as always, you guys are very good and you're very close, but you're just barely missing it. So I'll break it down for you guys why. And I'm a gracious host. I want to let you go first and let me know why the 49ers weren't going to win the division.
Here comes the elitism. Here it comes from Locked On 49ers, the 49ers fans.
Hey, I learned that actually from Peter Bukowski of Locked On Packers.
Oh, perfect. He doesn't even wear socks. You can't take him seriously.
It was very goodism. And then I learned from him for the elitism. So I'm not worried at all about the offense. The reason Sam Darnold is good again is because he came and spent a year with Kyle Shanahan. So the 49ers offense is going to be fine. Christian McCaffrey's out all last year. They're still running the ball 5 yards per carry. They're going to be fine on the offensive side of the ball. Ricky Pearsall is going to have to hold it down for a few weeks. They traded for Sky Moore. Look, they're going to have some random bodies at wide receiver, but they run 3 wide less than anybody in the NFL. It's all about Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. If those guys are healthy, then whoever's wide receiver 1 is really the third option on the offense anyway. You got Trent Williams. The offensive line is going to be middle of the road-ish, and that'll be just fine because the 49ers don't drop back and hold the ball forever in the pocket anyway. Get the ball out quick. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be balanced. Offense is not a problem for me for the 49ers. And by midseason, you mentioned you might get Brandon Ayuk back and Demarcus Robinson and Juwan Jennings. Hopefully he'll be there from week 1 next to Ricky Pearsall. And if those guys develop and Pearsall develops like I think he's going to, then I actually be really good probably at wide receiver. And then who knows what'll happen with the attrition at running back at that point. But the reason the 49ers are not going to win this year, the division, is because of the defensive side of the ball. And they have Nick Bosa, they have Fred Warner, but they might start upwards of 5 rookies. And I don't remember the last time a team that started 5 rookies was winning Super Bowls in the NFL. So there's going to be some growing pains. They do have an easy schedule. Can a few of those guys develop and they figure some things out by midseason? They might be a scary team to play later in the season. Early in the year, though, can you get the 49ers week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks? It should absolutely be a good one. Let's talk a little bit more about this division. We're just getting started. Coming up, the best players in the division were ranked in the Locked On Top 100, but there were some notable omissions and potentially some mistakes and some standout players on that list. It's the 2025 Locked On NFL Season Preview, the NFC West.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over there at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up and college football is not far behind. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or even breakout running backs this season, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in on the game. Plus, they offer weekly flyer options already for week 1, where Dak Prescott's max discount for kickoff against the Eagles is more than 0.5 passing yards. Take advantage of that inside of the Prize Picks app today. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDON NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDON NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game.
The 2025 Locked On NFL season previews continue. A reminder, you can get daily coverage of your favorite NFL team by subscribing to their Locked On podcast. We also have the NFL covered nationally. Locked On NFL, Locked On NFL Scouting, Peacock and Williamson Show. Hit the notification bell on that one. Locked On Fantasy Football and Locked On Dynasty Football, and get 24/7 coverage of the NFL with our brand new Locked On NFL stream, free on YouTube and Amazon Fire TVs. The top 100. I'm going to bring it up on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube. And look, if you want to make an argument for the 49ers to win the division, there's still a lot of superstars on this roster. And when you look at the top 100 of the NFC West as voted on by our colleagues, I assume all of your votes were counted in this. There's a lot of gold and red at the top of the list. In fact, the first 3 guys are Nick Bosa, George Kittle, and Fred Warner. Matthew Stafford comes in 4th in the division, number 40 in the top 100. The first 3 guys there are in the top 25. You got Trent Williams at 41. You got Puka Nacua as 43. Christian McCaffrey at 44. Niners dominating the top 50 here with 5 players in the top 50. Calais Campbell, let's be honest, that should probably be where Brock Purdy checks in there at number what is that, number 46? What are we doing here? Jared Verse, Devin Witherspoon, Trey McBride, Leonard Williams, Tariq Woolen, Devontae Adams, Budda Baker. Budda Baker maybe even needs to be a little bit higher. One of the more underrated players around the NFL, even if Calais Campbell should not be on this list, guys. A lot of star power here. First of all, talk to me about Puka Nacua, Alex. And was there some snubs from the Cardinals on this top 100 as voted on by our network colleagues?
I mean, yeah, Calais Campbell should not be on this list. Gotta love him, but he should not be on this list.
Right? You agree that as well?
I don't know 99 players that are better than Budda Baker, which I'm a little, remiss about. Trey McBride is probably exactly where he should be. But yeah, I mean, I think like the 49ers are super top heavy, and it shows. They've got stars. and it shows on this list. You see the young defense and the young wide receiver core from the Rams shown, and then Devin Witherspoon is going to be, a top 3 lockdown corner for the next 5 or 7 years. So I don't really see many misses here aside from maybe Calais Campbell should not have been there, and Brock Purdy should be sitting right next to me when talking about this list.
Wow. Okay. All right. Look, clearly Brock Purdy's at least the most handsome quarterback in the division. I think we can agree
That's
on
why
that.
he sits next to me.
Yeah.
Of us four. I mean, that's
the most
another reason why.
You're supposed to surround yourself with guys that are uglier than you, guys that are better looking than you.
And here we are.
Travis, we got to ask the question about Matthew Stafford. Number 40 in the top 100. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. The Athletic, the Mike Sando tiers list that comes out every year. He was a top 1 tier in the NFL as voted on by executives. Like, the fans love Matthew Stafford. They realize how good he is. I know Rams fans do. I think the counterparts here in the media and the other hosts realize how good Matthew Stafford is. The execs and coaches and the other hosts on the network, everyone realizes how good Matthew Stafford is and how important he is. So does that make or break the entire season for the Rams?
Yeah, I think that if he misses some time, they can survive. If he misses a ton of time, they cannot. The Rams the last couple of seasons have got off to some really bad starts. Last year they were 1-4. The year before that they were 3-6. And most of that was because Matthew Stafford wasn't very good, or the Rams couldn't protect Matthew Stafford to let him do what he needed to do. When he gets some time, when he gets the bare materials that he needs to do what he does, there aren't too many guys that I would trade for him for a season. There's a Josh Allen and Mahomes and some Burrows. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league, but he's certainly in the top quarter or so. So yeah, he's their most important player. But if in fact he missed a month or so, let's say he missed 4 or 5 games and he had to play with Garoppolo, I trust Sean McVay to put him in a position to be pretty good. The only thing that I worry about with Matthew Stafford is his age/health, and I think they go hand in glove. That if old players are terrifying because they could just be bad for no reason other than they got too old, and nothing has to happen other than just time continuing to tick off the clock. So that's a little concerning. I love the addition of Devontae Adams down there at 97. I think that he's going to be really good. I think he and Nakua together could become a really interesting thing. I do worry a little bit about the Rams' third option at wide receiver. They're going to start with Tutu Atwell. All my everydayers know that I am not a Tutu Atwell guy. There's just nothing there. If we were going to see something, we would have seen it by now. I'm not a big believer there. Verse is probably about where he belongs right now, but I bet if we do this a year from now, he's inside the top 25 or 20. I mean, he's coming on really, really fast. And then as far as snubs go and whatnot, I think you could maybe have Kobe Turner in there. He had an incredible season for the Rams. He is a real problem for most teams in the interior of that line. And then maybe, right near the back of this list, somewhere high 90s, I don't know if Kyron Williams isn't there. He scores a bunch of touchdowns. He's a really effective guy once you get inside that 15-yard line or so. He's not going to have a bunch of pop plays. He's not a guy that's a burner. He's not any of those things. But, man, is he good when you need him to be. And he seems to show up pretty regularly, and that consistency gear that he has, I think, is super valuable.
I think when you look at the Rams roster too, and that was a stars and scrubs build. And I think the 49ers look at the Rams and say, well, look, if you've got quarterback, you've got a really great head coach, and you hit those picks in the draft, you can rebuild that front very quickly. And I think the Niners are hoping that they can really pull off this year what the Rams pulled off last year with a lot of their early draft picks, and that can get turned around very quickly on one side of the ball if you start drafting stud players and putting a lot of young talent on the field together. A lot of young talent in Seattle, Corbin. Witherspoon, Leonard Williams, Tariq Woolen. Any omissions on this list from the Seattle Seahawks? How do you feel about the top-heavy talent on that roster?
Well, the one thing I will say, Leonard Williams, there are not 50 players in the league better than him, let alone 85. Like, you look at the season he had last year, double-digit sacks, 16 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits. He returned a pick 92 yards for a touchdown at 300-plus pounds. I mean, he had a phenomenal season, and he can play up and down the line. So I just think he is incredibly underrated. I think that Leonard Williams had a phenomenal year last year. The fact he was not a all-pro selection was a travesty. But there's a lot of unknowns with this team, as we've talked about on offense, in terms of, DK Metcalf's gone, Tyler Lockett's gone. You've got a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. Darnold, if you're basing it just on last year's production, maybe you can make an argument. I'm not going to sit here and say he should be on this list. The two players that I would say, though, look, Travis is going to know this name from but Ernest Jones, when he came over from Tennessee last year, Ernest Jones was the game changer. This defense was a top 5 scoring defense when he showed up. And I think Ernest Jones is one of the best linebackers in football. I absolutely think he should be in the top 100 with what he's done since he's come into the league. And Julian Love might be the most underrated safety in football. The guy just does everything. He can blitz, he can stuff the run, he can play every safety spot. He creates turnovers, both forced fumbles, interceptions. So really what I'd be saying here is I could make an argument for 5 players on Seattle's defense to be on this list. Offense, we got to wait and see where things go there. I think Ken Walker has that kind of talent, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy consistently. Jackson Smith-Njigba has that kind of talent. Can he take that next step as the guy in the top of the receiving corps this year? There's some names that this time next year could absolutely be on there, but there's obviously a lot more question marks on offense than defense with this team. The defense is absolutely loaded.
Well, we've gone through some of the best talent in the division, but one of these teams was the most improved talent-wise this offseason. We'll dive in next on the 2025 Locked On NFL season preview of the NFC West.
Today's 2025 NFL season preview is brought to you by our friends over there at FanDuel Sportsbook. And as you all know, FanDuel, they are America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, with the NFL season right around the corner, they want to get you in the game with an offer that you simply can't miss, because new users can bet just $5 and win up to $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. And you can use that all across the app for NFL season futures. You can even go through what I do on my Sunday morning routine. I like to pull up my phone, go into the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and then I'll go through the morning games. I'll pick all the money lines, and then the primetime slate, I'll go through and I'll do player props and parlay them together inside of FanDuel. That's part of my routine, but FanDuel, once again, wants to make sure if you sign up today as a brand new customer, you bet $5, your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets guaranteed. So make sure you check it out. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com.
The 2025 Locked On NFL season previews continue. A reminder, you can get daily coverage of your favorite NFL team by subscribing to their Locked On podcast. We also have the NFL covered nationally, talking Locked On NFL, Locked On NFL Scouting, Peacock and Williamson, Locked On Fantasy Football, and Locked On Dynasty Football. Get 24/7 coverage of the NFL with our brand new Locked On NFL stream, free on YouTube and Amazon Fire TVs. So guys, to be honest with you, to me, this is an interesting division. And I agree with something that Alex said at the very top. I think this is going to be a tight division. I think it's going to be one of the most hotly contested divisions in the NFL. It probably shouldn't shock anybody if these teams finish in really any order, 1 through 4. I think it could potentially be very, very tight. But the most improved team in the division to me is actually the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is a team that got some things right with the coaching staff. It's added a ton of talent now on the defensive side of the ball. They got some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. And Alex, to me, talk to me about, first of all, some of the additions and why this team will be improved and why they might make a run at the division. And talk to me about the quarterback. Is he ready to lead a division-winning football team?
How much time you got? So the short answer is Monty Ellis before Jonathan Gannon took over an organization that was in the Mesozoic era, in shambles. Your friend growing up that comes over and plays with your toys and then leaves and never helps you clean up. That's what Steve Keim did to this organization. So Monty Ellis and Ford, people thought it was going to be a 2-year rebuild. It was really 3, and it was always meant to be 3. So incrementally, from the start of the 2023 season, they slowly started to get better on the field, off the field. And now this is what, quote unquote, like going for it is when you have a plan after 1 year. Like they have all their picks, they've got all their money, and they've got a substantially better roster. Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, not top flight guys, but collectively they can be top flight. Will Johnson dropped to them. Walter Nolan is hobble, but he's going to play. Like this defense has the makings of a top 7 defense with Nick Rallis as a DC. Look at him as a head coach option for next year if the Cardinals do take that leap. When it comes down to Kyler, like they ran it back because this offense is either going to work or it won't. You don't need to add more talent. They've got plenty. Like, you've got a tight end 1, you've got an RB1, you've got a wide receiver 1 you'd think, has the trajectory for that. How many teams have all 3? 15? Like, I think, and the offensive line is much improved. Paris Johnson Jr. is left tackle 1 for the future. Like, they don't need to get better on offense. They need to win more games. So when it comes down to Kyler Murray, it's one stat this year. It's wins and losses, and that's it. I don't care if he has a career Josh Allen year. If they win 11 games and don't make the playoffs, or whatever, win 10 games and don't make the playoffs, we could be seeing walking papers. If they make a deep playoff run, we're talking contract extension. It's one or the other. This is the year, and we're going to find out one way or the other. And I'm stoked.
Corbin, you listed some reasons earlier on in the pod about why the Seahawks will contend for the division. If you could narrow it down to one reason, what's the big thing there that you're like, okay, this is the reason why the Seahawks can be good this year?
Offensive line, and I can't believe I'm saying that. It's been 15 years since the Seahawks have had a decent offensive line, and just decent. Like, you have to go back to Walter Jones and Steve Hutchinson when they had a great offensive line. But they were able to get by with an average unit because the talent they had in Marshawn Lynch, you could have an average line in front of the dude who's just a truck stick machine. But this offensive line, Gray Zabel is the real deal. Like, I loved him coming out of North Dakota State, but now that I've gotten to watch him practice, I see him go against Leonard Williams every single day. And Williams is taking his lunch money some early on. But this kid has gotten better every single day, and he's getting advice from Leonard Williams. Like, you just don't see that happen very often. Like, this kid he just looks and acts like a stud offensive lineman, like whether it's getting bush lights or whatever else he's doing. Like, he screams NFL offensive lineman. And I think, is going to be that catalyst that gets the rest of this group going. John Benton, the new line coach, what a difference it is when you actually have a legitimate, experienced offensive line coach working with your players. Everybody across the board has taken a big jump. Now, we'll see what it looks like early in the regular season, but that is the reason I'm bullish on this team, along with the fact that the defense, everybody knows the defense is loaded. What they brought back from last year and the way they played the last 8 or 9 games. This offense, though, the offensive line is the key, because if you can give Sam Darnold time, Travis talked about it, the Rams didn't give him that last year, but if the Seahawks offensive line opens up the run game and they don't have to have Darnold sling it 30, 35 plus times a game, and they're running the football well, which I think they're going to be able to, and Clint Kubiak isn't going to go away from it in the middle of the first quarter like Ryan Grubb did. And sometimes Ryan Grubb went away from it before they got done with warmups, let's be honest. That's just the way that he did things. But I think the offensive system and the offensive line, those are the two areas. This team won 10 games with the worst offensive line in the NFL last year. They are going to be much improved on that offensive line. That is the X factor to me that makes this team dangerous.
So, Travis, we kind of know who the Rams are right now. Big question is Matthew Stafford here. But as you see it, we've got to go 1 through 4 here with our predictions in the divisions here, guys. And we kind of already know why the reasons are, so we don't have to go too long about the reasons why. But give me your order, Travis, 1 through 4 in the division in 2025.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, Pig. I just had a quick one for Clancy. Those walking papers that Murray's going to get, do they have iPad restrictions in them, or can he do it?
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the old head here. You bring somebody older than me and he can't make new jokes? You just can't graduate to new jokes?
Taking away your PlayStation tag.
NFL contracts are very complicated. I just don't know if there was some sort of stipulation in there.
Hey, you have to be really talented to make the entire world make jokes that aren't hype jokes when you're fighting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that.
We go to. I think I kind of land where all three of you guys land, where there isn't really a final order in this division that would shock me. I don't think if any of these 4 teams landed on top, I would be stunned. I think the Rams have a narrow advantage going into this, but the wild card, like we've talked about, is Matthew Stafford. The good news for the Rams, and why I think that even they can survive a less than ideal Stafford season, or if he misses some time, that defense is going to be really good. That on the back side of it, it may not be, the heyday when you had like a Jalen Ramsey back there necessarily, but with Jared Verse, I wouldn't be surprised if he were an all-pro this season. Braden Fisk had an amazing rookie season. It's just that it was kind of overshadowed by Jared Verse doing what he's doing. Kobe Turner is in his second year. He nearly had double-digit sacks. You got Byron Young, who we don't even really mention, who on any other team would be a pretty darn good pass rusher. He's in there. So I think they're going to give all sorts of problems up front. They go out and they get Poona Ford from the Chargers. So that's an interesting nose tackle that they have in there as well. I think they're going to be really good on defense, and they can lean on that. I think as far as the balance goes, they're the most balanced on both sides of the ball. The 49er talent, I think probably they finished second in conjunction with that schedule that we talked. Look, let's be honest. All four of our teams have pretty good schedules. We play the AFC and NFC South. That's the best draw that you could possibly ask for. The Rams, they get Philadelphia, they get Baltimore as their one-offs along the way. So that's a little more challenging. So that could be a differentiator there as well. But I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. I want to be. I live about 5 minutes from San Clemente High School. I want to be a Sam Darnold fan. I was a Sam Darnold fan when he was at SC, when he was at San Clemente. I thought he had an opportunity to be a good player, and it just hasn't happened. So I think that's the weak link in the division. I think if Geno Smith were still there, I think I would flip-flop the Cardinals and the Seahawks. But as right now, I think Darnold puts you in fourth place with the Cards in third.
And a mea culpa for me last year on this very episode. I thought the Rams were in shambles, going to be in last place, and they definitely proved me wrong, even though the way they started the season, I thought they were going to have a fire sale midseason before the trade deadline. And, man, they came on hot. And if they're that team again for a full 17 games with a healthy Matthew Stafford.
Close to trading Cooper Kupp. That close to doing it. Had they gotten an offer that they even kind of sort of liked and not anything that was – I think they would have pulled the trigger, but McVay doesn't throw in the towel, and they're a little bit of slow starters, but once they get going, they're pretty tough.
So for me, Rams, healthy Stafford 1, not healthy Stafford 4 for the Rams. So healthy Stafford, and we're assuming health all across the board. I'm going to go Rams 1, Niners, and Cardinals tied for 2. We're talking tiebreakers week 7 or week 18, and I'm Seahawks 4. Corbin, what order do you have them in 2025?
I'm going Rams. I'm going to go Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, 49ers for my 4. And that's assuming health. If Matthew Stafford's not right. Look, you guys can say all you want about Sam Darnold. I think Geno Smith is a better quarterback than him too, to be honest with you. You guys have been on this show, but I think Seattle's had a better team around Sam Darnold than they ever had around Geno Smith. And I think Darnold showed last year he can win a lot of games when he's got a good supporting cast around him. And that defense, I am telling you, that defense is going to be creating a lot of headaches. And Nick Emanwari is going to be a real fun addition right away that teams are going to hate to have to deal with.
Alex Clancy, finish it up.
Real quick on. So when Matthew Stafford has walking papers, is it going to be with an abacus and the Pony Express? Is it gonna revert back? Is it gonna be Morse code delivered by a milkman? I can do that too.
It's on a scroll that they have to unwind.
That's good. That's good. The scroll's good. No. So for me, it's the Rams. It's because of Matthew Stafford at 80%. Sean McVay's the best coach in the NFL, pound for pound, to me. More than Andy Reid, more than anybody. He gets the most out of everybody, and he's just smarter than everybody, in my opinion. I'm taking the Cardinals 2, 49ers 3, Seattle 4. This is a year where the Cardinals, if they play 80% of what people think, they'll win 10 games. They've got a good enough roster. It's going to come down to Kyler Murray. Obviously, this isn't a homer thing for me. I just think they've got all the boxes checked. And I think this is the year where, especially with the easier schedule for the entire division, that this is the year where they're going to nip at the heels of the Rams for first. And if Matthew Stafford gets hurt, the Cardinals could 100% win this division.
Bone up on your tiebreakers, because I think that's what we're going to be talking about at the end of the season with this division. It's going to be a whole lot of fun in the NFC West. For Alex Clancy, Travis Rogers, Corbin Smith, I am Brian Peacock. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the 2025 Locked On NFL season preview of the NFC West. And if you want to hear more and hear how the other divisions will play out this year, subscribe to the Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.